Welcome to Movies We Love. Today we will look at an historical fiction piece entitled Gangs of New York. Spoilers ahead. Before we start, hit the like button. It's free and will help me to grow this channel. The film opens in the year 1846 with Priest Vallon. He is the leader of an Irish New York gang named the Dead Rabbits. He is preparing for battle. Vallon explains the ways of the world to his little son, Amsterdam. They walk together holding hands as more and more Irish warriors join the march to war. Vallon carries a silver cross representing the Irish Catholic religion. They finally reach the exit of the old brewery. A man named Monk kicks open the door, revealing a snow-covered section of the infamous 5 Points section of New York City. It's called Paradise Square. Vallon and the Dead Rabbits leave the brewery and make their way onto the street. The Dead Rabbits await the arrival of the natives, a rival gang of native-born Protestant New Yorkers. They hate the Catholic Irish and view them as unwanted invaders. Bill Cutting, known as the Butcher, then enters the square. He is the ruthless leader of the nativists. He has one glass eye shaped like an American eagle. Both sides agree that the victors will take control of the 5 Points. Will it be the Catholic immigrant Irish or the native-born Protestants? The fighting begins. The battle is horrifically bloody, with bludgeoning, stabbing, slashings, and broken limbs. The gang members strike each other down in continuous carnage. A woman known as Hellcat Maggie bites a man's ear off and claims it as a trophy. The Butcher wades through the melee, alternately stabbing men with a knife and chopping at them with a large cleaver. Bill slowly makes his way towards Vallon. Before the priest can react, Bill stabs him. Mortally wounded, Vallon sinks to the ground. The fighting ends as Bill shouts, "Look! Look who is under my knife!" Amsterdam runs and pushes his way to his father's side. He and his father share the last moments together. Now we jump 16 years later into the future. Amsterdam is still in New York, but in an orphanage, Hellgate. He is now 21 years old and is being released on his own. Amsterdam narrates that during the Civil War, New York was a city full of tribes, rival gangs competing for control. We see a celebration in the streets of New York City. The Civil War is raging, and President Lincoln is looking for volunteers to fight in the South. Bill and his gang walk the streets as Civil War soldiers march. It is obvious that Bill has no love for President Lincoln. We see that Irish immigrants are pouring continuously into New York City, a steady stream of more and more. Amsterdam has now made it back to the 5 Points. His father's friend Monk has noticed him and watches curiously. Amsterdam reunites with his childhood friend Johnny, who fills him in on all that has taken place at the 5 Points since he's been gone. Johnny explains all about the gangs that run the 5 Points and the criminal activities taking place. He also explains how Bill the Butcher celebrates Priest Vallon's death every year by drinking a flaming glass of alcohol. Suddenly, a young woman bumps into Johnny. Her name is Jenny Everdeen. Johnny introduces her to Amsterdam. She seems amused by the two young men and giggles at their awkwardness. She wishes them a good day and departs. Johnny swears that Jenny likes him, but Amsterdam informs him that she just stole his watch. Johnny takes Amsterdam to meet Bill the Butcher at a pub in the 5 Points. Amsterdam immediately notices a portrait of his father, set in a place of honor. At first, Bill is not impressed by Amsterdam. Bill's right-hand man, McGloin, tries insulting Amsterdam. At first it doesn't work, but eventually the two square up for fisticuffs. They boldly hit each other, shots to the face and shots to the body. McGloin even smashes Amsterdam's head into the wall. Eventually they end up on the ground. Amsterdam does well against McGloin. He ends up on top and fishhooks McGloin. Bill breaks up the fight and finds the whole thing amusing because Amsterdam is just a sprat, meaning a kid. He gives Amsterdam a piece of raw meat to put on his swollen eye. Little does he know, Amsterdam is actually Priest Valen's son. Bill now takes a clear liking to Amsterdam and takes him under his wing. This, of course, is the goal for Amsterdam. Get close enough, and when the time is right, strike and get his revenge. Bill teaches Amsterdam how to use a knife, to properly stab an opponent, to wound or even kill. Memories of his father flash through his mind. Next we see Bill and his gang working an illegal bare-knuckle boxing match. The police raid the place and a riot breaks out as the cops arrest and beat the participants. Bill is angry because he had already paid off the police, but they raided anyway. Amsterdam uses the opportunity to score more points with Bill. He suggests they move the boxing matches to the outskirts of the city, where the police have no jurisdiction. Bill loves the idea and applauds Amsterdam's ingenuity. Next we see Bill and his crew at the theater. They watch a play. Soon the audience begins booing. This leads to mayhem when everyone starts to throw vegetables. An assassin uses the chaos to try and shoot Bill. Amsterdam notices the danger and tries to warn Bill. It's too late, and Bill is shot in the shoulder. Amsterdam tackles the guy to the ground. Bill then tortures the man, demanding to know who sent him, but the man dies. Bill acknowledges Amsterdam's help and shows him respect and gratitude. Amsterdam, realizing that he just saved his father's killer's life, runs off and cries in confusion. Monk finds him and, in disgust, tells him that his father loved and died for his people, the Irish. Amsterdam awakes to find Bill watching him, sitting in a chair and draped in a tattered American flag. Bill explains that he stayed alive all these years through fear, the spectacle of fearsome acts. If someone insults him, he cuts out their tongue. Steals from him, he cuts off their hands. Rises against him, he puts their head on a pike, high up so everyone can see. Bill infers that Amsterdam is like a son to him, and he places a blessing upon Amsterdam's head. Amsterdam knows in his heart that he must kill Bill publicly in front of everyone. Later that night, Monk sees Amsterdam throwing a dagger into a wooden post behind Bill's hideout. It's as if Amsterdam were practicing for something. Monk knows Amsterdam will soon make a move. Tonight is a special night. It is the anniversary of the natives' victory over the Irish and the death of Priest Valen. It's Amsterdam's best chance to avenge his father's killer in front of everyone. Bill readies his toast. He calls everyone's attention. He then lights his drink on fire and raises his glass in honor of Priest Vallon. Just then, Amsterdam strikes by throwing a dagger at Bill. Bill blocks the blade and counters, striking Amsterdam in the belly. Amsterdam is held down on a table as Bill announces that Amsterdam is the son of Priest Vallon and a coward for trying to kill him in a sneaky way instead of facing him like a man. Bill then declares that Amsterdam will be branded and thrown into the street to live in shame. He uses a hot knife to burn Amsterdam's cheek. Jenny then takes Amsterdam away to a cave where she nurses him back to health. She talks of them leaving and going to San Francisco. Finally, we see Amsterdam emerge into the sunlight. He marches boldly out into Paradise Square. He strides deliberately into the center and hangs a dead rabbit. It's a sign that the Irish are coming back and that Amsterdam will lead them. The rabbit is brought to Bill, and Bill understands exactly what it means. Bill decides to rid himself of Amsterdam once and for all. He orders Happy Jack, the crooked policeman, to take care of the problem. Amsterdam is hiding out in the church and gathering together the Irish forces. Jack goes looking for him. He slowly skulks through the church, pretending to be a friend, calling Amsterdam's name. But Amsterdam is not fooled. He takes Jack by surprise and strangles him dead. He hangs Jack's body in the center of Paradise Square for all to see. Bill is not happy at losing his inside man. A crooked cop was very valuable to Bill. Next, we see a deadly and tumultuous time in New York City, the draft riots during the Civil War, when New Yorkers heard that wealthy people could buy their way out of being drafted by paying $300. They went berserk and began destroying the city. Soon the police precincts were attacked. During this, we see Amsterdam and the dead rabbits preparing and marching toward their fight against Bill and the nativists. We see various parts of New York City being vandalized by angry rioters. We see citizens being brutalized in the streets. We see more scenes of Amsterdam's dead rabbits marching towards their confrontation with the nativists. Eventually, the army is called out to stop the riots. They march through the streets to confront the hordes of rioters. The soldiers fire their muskets and cut the citizens down in the streets. The soldiers march through the blood. And then we come to the great confrontation of the film, the final showdown between the Catholic Irish Dead Rabbits gang and the Protestant nativist gang. They meet in Paradise Square. At the very moment when they are about to come to blows, the U.S. Navy ships in the New York harbor begin firing on the city. Members on both sides are injured in the attack. Smoke fills the square and people flee for cover. The cannons continue to fire. In the mass confusion, the army troops begin to march in. Amsterdam tries to defend himself. He holds out his weapon, unable to see, but Bill runs by and slashes him. Suddenly, there is a huge explosion, and both Bill and Amsterdam are knocked to the ground. They lay there dazed, slowly rising up. They look at each other among the destruction surrounding them. Bill knows his time has come. He looks at Amsterdam in an accepting way. Amsterdam lunges and sinks his blade into Bill's torso. Bill folds over and collapses. He holds Amsterdam's hand as his life seeps away. As the film is ending, we see a graveyard in Brooklyn overlooking the Manhattan skyline. Amsterdam's voice says, "For those of us what lived and died in them furious days, it was like everything we knew was mightily swept away. And no matter what they did to build this city up again, for the rest of time. It'll be like no one even knew that we was ever here. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more movies like this, hit the like and subscribe button.